you trying to get crazy with this scene? Don't you know I'm loco?
And I found myself like, oh shit, I got to reinvent myself. But fortunately, I had done so much work in the industry and so much work in the streets with graffiti that I just kind of like, okay, I'm going to fall back on myself. Because Persue, like, people know the name, whether it be in graffiti or what I had done in the skate industry. Although the skate industry and all that stuff had changed, it felt like I didn't know anyone at all after a certain point that was in that industry anymore.
What's happening, everybody? This is Bobby Ruiz, a.k.a. Bobby Tribal, once again with the Lower Left Podcast. We're right here at 17th and Island, San Diego, East Village. And today we have a really, really special guest. Great friend of mine. We go way, way back. I would call this dude icon / legend in the skate industry, streetwear, the San Diego graffiti scene. Just a super, super creative dude. Persue.
User.
Also known as Dave Ross.
Am I?
Yeah, you are. And then we also have Artistic here who's looking a little confused right now.
Let's add it retail shop owner.
Oh yeah, Home Mercantile.
Yeah.
Art was one of our best customers.
We could that list can go like we got the retail shop owner, we got the author.
Yeah, we were in vintage.
He does
family shit. Yeah, author.
Crazy he does
shit.
plush toys.
Man.
He's got a hell of.
Thanks for that introduction, man.
That's
real nice.
Well, that's just the truth.
A lot of jobs, man.
I didn't even have to put a lot of sauce on that.
I'm Jamaican Jew.
Yeah, that's right. So before we go any further, I need to shout out DJ Julian Ramirez for always bringing that fresh intro. That intro is Julian Ramirez, and thank you for that.
But, big ups to him.
That's right.
Soul Assassin family right there.
That's right. And we've got Persue.
Damn. That's me, man. Wow.
I think I met Persue. I usually call him Dave.
Yeah, we're on the first name basis. Yeah. So for sure. Back
in I think like 91, 92,
it was pretty
like
early
when I was kind of out there researching the local graffiti scene, and Dave kind of lived out where I had bought my first house. So Dave was kind of from that area as well as Artistic.
Yeah.
They're in North County, San Diego suburb.
We're in the burbs.
We're in the Rancho Bernardo.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. And
we had dreams.
and here we are.
Yeah, man. It's crazy.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
What year did Dave turn into Persue?
Oh, 1988. So it was a name given to me by a Filipino graffiti writer, Expect.
Okay, so when I say Dave turns into Persue, when did people walk up to you and didn't call you Dave and called you Persue?
Oh, probably 90.
Okay.
Probably about
the
90.
thing about Persue is I found myself, as I'm sure he does, constantly correcting people
all the time.
Because
Persue.
It's usually people say Persue because as we were selling Dave's graphics, we would always name the graphic Persue 1 or Persue 2, whatever it was. And it was always Persue. And we're like, it's Persue.
It's kind of become Persue through the years just because of that. Yeah. Because of the magazines or online or whatever. I couldn't control it.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Kind of cool too.
Pursue's all good.
Yeah.
It kind of works for my personality.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I apply Persue to different parts of my work, as Persue is a different side of my work as well. So Persue, it's the same dude, but not in a sense. I don't know. It's hard to explain without being too
you're kind
overly
of
weird.
Hard to explain.
I'm weird. Seriously, because in the early years I didn't really speak up much.
Yeah,
that's true. I was real quiet. I was observant. I had mentors. I knew my place. In a sense,
I think you were way better than you knew that you were.
Right.
Like I don't think you had the confidence that you could have had. Because there's one super iconic piece that keeps popping into my head. It was here in San Diego. You know the piece.
Yeah.
And
that one put me on the map.
Yeah, that one put you on the map. And
Fill me in. I don't know the piece.
Oh, this was on the outside of the Stupid warehouse, right? Is that the piece?
The
you're-
one, it was 10th.
It was the
and-
Sorcerer. It was next to the LPSD that Zodak
Yeah.
painted.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I remember.
Right.
It was
that.
10th and like G or F.
Yeah,
or,
it was.
no, not F. I think it was.
It was 9th and G.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and for me, it was good. It was great because at that time, a lot of people were coming into San Diego for the B-Boy Summits and the trade shows, and so there was a lot of eyes on San Diego.
Yeah.
With what you were doing, with what was happening in graffiti, that particular piece,
432F, and,
right?
all
Yeah, the
that
whole
kind of
nine.
stuff.
So that particular piece, technique-wise, was advanced for
God.
what we were doing at the time.
There was the glow of that lamp.
Yeah, like that wasn't common.
Do you have a photo of that somewhere?
Yeah, I got it somewhere.
So if you could do this when this podcast is released, if you could post a pic to that,
Yeah, I'll do
that'd be
that.
super
Yeah,
cool.
I'll do
And
that.
if people want to follow you on IG, where do they find you?
Persue 1 PERSUE 1 or
That's right.
BunnyKitty
That's
or
right.
We Are WetPaint.
So when you say at that,
Oh wait, we had to add curator to the list.
curator,
We
curator.
also, I think we forgot world traveler.
Bass player.
bass player.
But two most important
Yeah.
things: husband and dad.
There
That's
you go.
right. Thank you, Art.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
he's a
Thank
great,
you.
he's a
Looking
great,
out for
great
me,
dad.
man.
And not. I mean, this dude's
It's
really
been challenging though. It was challenging. I had a lot of like different, things happen in my career that like I questioned if I was a good father because I had to move to New York. But we
Yeah.
could get to that. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying like,
You're just. I think you're
it was
good
hard.
with
It's hard.
people in general now. Like now that
Yeah.
and my kids love you. All three of my
I love
kids
you.
are like.
I love you and your wife first
Yeah,
and
yeah,
foremost.
yeah.
So like, your children are an extension
Yeah,
of you.
thank you. I
so,
appreciate that. But yeah, my kids are always
They're
like.
so talented.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Can I rewind real quick, Bobby?
You can do whatever you want.
So you said at that time that was a whole new style, on the stupid wall.
Some of the techniques.
The technique. So what was the
yeah.
most common technique at that time? And then what you're doing, like, so people can get a visual of what we mean by the technique.
I think it was just the subtle things, like some things these days people might take for granted, like how things. I was able to make things glow,
Yes.
and like the transitions of the light going across the piece, and then how it hit the character. Just I don't know. I
I think you're right. And
Right?
that's what I remember. The character was holding up a lamp.
Yeah,
It was like
a lantern.
It was a lantern.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that lantern
On a stick.
glowed like throughout the piece, like Dave said, but primarily I remember it glowing on the character's face.
Yeah.
Not his entire face, but
Right.
the way that the lighting
Like
was
a shadow,
directed
if you
on it.
would, or whatnot.
There was like
Natural
some
light.
3-dimensional elements to it. I mean, but
You did letters with that
I
piece,
did
too.
letters with that piece. There was obviously some techniques I picked up along the way from painting with.
But at the
San
same
Diego
time,
paint.
he was in a position where, and I know Dave, like anybody that paints next to Zodak is like, oh man.
Bro,
Yeah, to
it
bring
was
it.
so nerve wracking all the freaking time because I got Quasar was my mentor,
Yeah.
right? And
Shout
like,
out to Quasar.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I got put down in SBA in 91, 92. So I became his shadow in a sense, and he was in APS. He has a lot of history in this, in San Diego as an early pioneer of graffiti, an important writer in the city in my eyes. And I think in everybody's
way
eyes.
ahead of his time.
Yeah. So, I was real fortunate to have that dude as my mentor, and he brought me around all the kings, but it wasn't, it was like this new kid on the block, this kid from Rancho Bernardo.
Right.
That it was a little wet.
Privilege.
Yeah. Or something.
Yeah, that's,
Right?
Yeah.
Because my mom, she didn't want to raise me in New York. They came out to the West Coast and found this little sliver of the suburbs and stuck my whole entire family there. And we were quote unquote safe, but, having Q like open the doors for me and introduce me to people, like Q was like, and I'll tell you this, like Q was like trying to get me to a point where the two of us could battle Zodak and Dyes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was going to be the guy that was going to battle against Zodak, and we would go and drink 40s and listen to Dub C and the Mad Circle Cypress. So all this
Can a
music.
gang, BD
Yeah,
bang.
all that shit in his room, and we'd be hanging out. We'd talk about, we're going to battle, and then we're going to draw. We're all drawing. We're just trying to get as wicked as we possibly can, just push each other as far as we can. And so I really owe a lot to him, kind of like putting the shine on me and seeing my talent as a young artist in the city and put me in front of people because. but it wasn't easy. And I think that's a lot to do with my entire career. It was difficult. And I'm not, as a, what's the word? When you, I can't even think of the word, but anyways, I do that a lot.
I was gonna fill it in, but I didn't know. It started with the
I was gonna say disclosure, but that's not the word.
That's the word that I was thinking.
Was it? No, it wasn't disgruntled.
So, quick question. So,
not until later.
For those that are just getting familiar with graffiti, which is also known as like can art, and you can come to the lower left and get all your can art supplies.
That's right.
Shameless plug. So you mentioned crews. At that time, is there like a hierarchy of like different crews and who are the kings? And is that like how you?
Oh yeah,
is that who you go against to kind of get your name? Like,
well, I don't know if it was always for me to go against someone. I always wanted to see. My issue as a youngster, as a kid, my mom noticed about me was that I wanted to please all the time. You know what I mean? And this was a concern to her, because then when I get let down, it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt hard. But so I found myself in this situation in, time and time again of just like wanting to overplease. That's probably why I was so quiet, and why I just let the work kind of speak for itself. And eventually everything else will kind of catch up, because I hadn't found my voice. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of felt like, I just stay in my place, be respectful and learn. And so that,
Dope.
and I wanted to see the world. So I tried to get out of San Diego as soon as possible to see the world.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So how did you transition from doing graph in the streets and into the industry? Because you've been in the industry pretty much as long as I have. Yeah. Real close. Like we're right there in the beginning of streetwear, and then you worked in the skate industry for multiple companies, and you were at the forefront at the very beginning of these companies.
I predate a lot of people's names.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize how important you were and influential to help to launch these brands.
Yeah, like, I'm woven it all up in the fabric.
What is now, DC, right? With Osiris.
This is crazy. It's blowing my mind.
Osiris and Circa and Musca and all that stuff.
Yeah, so Dave had his hand on all those brands.
How that happened was because of a show that you did. And that was
wow.
Yeah, and
there I am.
Yeah.
So I don't know this story. So what year?
This was the food can
that was
drive.
Like 91. I think.
And you were raising money for people that needed food.
Yeah.
It was the food can drive, and everybody brought their canned food to get in.
Yep.
And we all painted the walls, and I ended up with a wall. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I got put on.
They paid me.
Someone vouched. Yeah, exactly.
Someone gave me a bunch of money. They go, hey,
was it Zeno? Or was it? Did you give me Quasar?
Nah.
Space?
I don't remember.
Quasar must have given me his space or something, because I don't know what it was. But like everybody painted. Zodak painted. Dies painted. Zero, Bomb.
Richard Martinez. Baba came down.
Myself, and
that was a very influential, groundbreaking show.
It's almost like the Sex Pistols show for a lot of punkers that created bands afterwards. Like they're, Damon Way and Ken Block had came to that show, and I think they approached Zodak originally to go have him help them with 8 Ball. Like they wanted to hire him for t-shirt graphics for 8 Ball.
I think I remember a graphic. Oh no, he did it for this dude named Eddie 8 Ball here in San Diego.
Shout out to Eddie 8 Ball.
Yeah, that the dude it was a character holding an 8 Ball. You remember that?
I vaguely remember that.
Man.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So I vaguely remember.
Okay,
that.
so anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
It's all good. I know it's like channeling 30 years ago.
But that show helped to launch Tribal.
Exactly. So that was your first kind of graffiti inspired T-shirt you dropped.
Yeah.
It was the Krylon
Right
Tribal.
there, yeah.
And they had gone to the show. Zodak didn't want to mess with them or work for them. And then I just so they were already in their minds looking for a graffiti writer or somebody that was connected to, the movement or something.
The streets.
To apply that aesthetic to their brand. And I was at a skate shop in Escondido, and the buyer there, or the owner, was super cool, and I was painting the wall, for him. And he was just like, yo, do you know Ken Block? I'm all, no, I don't know Ken Block. Oh, he's got this t-shirt company called 8 Ball, and he's like starting this thing called Drawers. They got, it's like, it's just jumping off right now. But like, I think you'd be a great fit with him. Like, I'll put you on the phone with him. And he called him right there on the spot. And I got on the phone with Ken Block. He's like, hey man, like if you want to turn in a t-shirt graphic or something. And like in my mind, I was like, yo, it's another way of getting up. Like if I put this, artwork on a shirt, like, yo, I get to brag, I get to look, like it's going to be dope. And so like.
It's more than all city. It's like turns into all country.
It goes international.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt, but explain to people getting up. What do you mean by getting up?
Well,
What's
getting
that
up
mean?
is getting your name recognized.
And what's all city?
Well, all city is every crevice of
everywhere you go. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that. That's all city.
It's all city,
and it's kind of like getting your name up is like rookie, just kind of spreading your tag around a little bit. But once you're all city, you're everywhere you go.
Then everybody's giving you like they're either trying to cross you out or kill you or give you props.
Because I always think like, how did he get up there? How did she get up there? When did they do it?
Yeah.
How much time did they have?
Yeah.
Like this is crazy.
Yeah, it was just an extension, right? And I saw that you were getting into it. I was like, oh, this would be rad to get involved. And I was working at Subway sandwiches at the time.
I remember
right?
that. Yeah.
And I had done the drawing of this B-boy on the napkin, and I gave it to Ken Block. He put it on a T-shirt, and the shit went gangbusters.
He put it on a T-shirt from the napkin?
Well, he put it in the computer.
Yeah.
He took the artwork that I did on the napkin and put it on.
Which was very rare at that time for people to actually, there was only a few people. Bill McMullen was like David Lively.
Yeah.
Those were the two dudes.
I
think Grant Lau, that were the only dudes that were around us that were really fucking with computers.
Right.
Everybody else, it was just.
It was brand new.
Yeah, it was brand new.
So it did gangbusters, and then they started coming to my house looking at my black books and buying all my art. And then they offered me a job, and I went back and forth from packing boxes in the warehouse to sitting in Ken Block's office, designing logos, T-shirts, label packages, like the original DC logo and Dub, and creating the vibe of what these brands would become before they became.
And what age? Like what? You're this young man. You're 20. You're 18. You're 25. You're 26.
I think I was 19 or 20 at the time.
Was that a lot of responsibility, or did you soak it up and it was like easy for you since you had been drawing for so long? Had these pieces?
I was like, I love to draw anyways, and I was like, if I don't have to go into the Navy, if I don't have to go check in at a job like Subway, I'll come here every single day and apply myself. But that's what helped me still be able to check in every single day and do it on the daily, is that training and my art directors and the people that I had in that whole industry that were pushing me to become better, to learn the computer, to just become a better artist.
So what, just so people know, is what Dave's talking about, working with Ken Block and doing the boxes and doing the graphics. That company turned into that monster known as DC
Shoes.
DC Shoes.
Wow. So all that evolved.
So that was, Dave was there at the forefront of that. And
I was their founding artist.
That's right. And then from there, he that's about the same time you did the first graphic for us, is around that period.
Yeah, it was around 92.
That was a pretty funny story.
Yeah.
Do tell.
Well, all my friends
so
were
everybody's got to know I'm a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah.
That's how you get successful.
He's hard to please.
That's how you get successful.
No,
he
has a good aesthetic, and he knows what he likes. Yeah. So like, when I was doing these wicked characters in the early 90s, like 89,
contorted.
90, it was
not really like.
Yeah, they were contorted.
Yeah.
A lot of them did. I was trying to get super wicked, and it was beyond my comprehension, and I just had to kind of hone it all in, and it was like always a conversation that Bob had together, because I kept on bringing him these ideas. Oh, what about this for a t-shirt? I was like, I don't know. Is that an eyeball, or is that
it was a lip?
Is that a lip? Like this lip went
I remember
out,
the lip. Like the lip was way far out. It looked like as big as a dude's leg.
Yeah, man. So it was. I was learning how to draw still a lot at the time. And
but
I was
now,
like,
dude, people are spending a lot of money to get a hold of those old T-shirts, those old graphics from the 90s. Like,
it's crazy. But I eventually found something that was like a little bit more put together, and he put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah, they did really well. Dave went on, did several, and he went all the way. And we'll get to that phase where he was doing very, like the DJ ones that you did with the control
did
arms.
well,
and,
right?
They did good. And Dave started his creativity. He was going beyond just like what people were expecting, like
An Illustrator
and then,
or something.
you
It
remember
was the graphic
the
design
DJ
stuff,
one you did? It was called what do we call it, DJP or something?
Oh, I forget.
And it had the dots running down the sleeves, the DJ
side,
dots.
on the side
and
of the
then it had
record.
the control arm with the, and then you did like, that was
schematic.
sick. So from there, you did some graphics for us. You were working for 8-Ball, Drawers, and then
I bounce around a lot. So like this is because in '94, Drawers or DC, I'm going to say they're DC now, right? So they've moved into a new warehouse. We moved everything over there. We're getting set up to, start shipping these tens of thousands of pairs of shoes because they had a successful trade show and, they're exploding. And I roll up to the job and the warehouse manager is outside with an envelope in his hand. And he's all, "We got to let you go." Well, what are you talking about? Let me go. I just designed Dub. I did the logo. I did DC. I did all this stuff. What do you mean? The warehouse manager had tears in his eyes. He felt so bad because he's seen how much I put into this brand.
So
Ken and Damon didn't come down and let me go themselves.
Say. That's some bitch
I
shit.
did all this shit fucking work for them.
That's some bitch shit.
It was
right
a little
there.
bitchy.
No, it was. Where's your balls, guys?
Nah, well, they had me come, I came back when Ali Asha was there and, they always made it to like, "Hey, Dave, we want to take care of you." But because I was so flighty, I jumped around to different things. I didn't stick around for the big payoff because they knew it was coming and they tried to get me back involved just for the payoff.
Well, that's cool. Okay.
And that was cool.
Yeah. That part's cool.
Yeah. It was cool.
But when you can't,
But it lit the fire under my ass because at the time I felt that I could just draw and hand it off to Ken, but I didn't realize Ken needed somebody to do the computer work, that he needed me to sit down and do the graphic design with him.
Yeah.
And he brought in Dave Kinsey into my place there. And so I was out of a job for about 4 hours until Tony Magnuson hired me for Evil.
4 hours.
Yeah, about 4 hours.
And how did people hear? It's not like social media. Hey, I just got let go. How did they?
I think I had already been doing. I think Nico, the art director at the time over there, who was working hand in hand with Magnuson, I had already done some board graphics with them, and it was funny because it was like they were stealing Persue, like between Osiris or what would become Osiris Evil and 8-Ball. Like, I hired Persue for this. I hired Persue for that. It was like this weird thing going on, but I felt in the middle, but I was like, just pay me so I could get some new rims for my Honda. I want to race this weekend. Yeah. I want to look fresh.
Which one of those dudes ended up being, it's Ken Block, that's a badass driver now?
Yeah, Ken Block.
Sick.
But he was always really sick with it.
But I remember, people have seen that video. I think they closed down LA.
Yeah, LA, San Francisco.
Yeah, badass driver.
He's awesome.
And it's nice because he's got those budgets, and the sponsors and stuff. But regardless, to be able to drive like that,
it's insane.
Some bullshit. Like, it's insane. Fucking crazy.
He was always really talented in driving. He used to drive like all the pro skaters, and they used to get crazy in the streets up in North County, shit up there, like doing their wild boy lifestyle.
4 hours. The guy got a new job.
I got a new job. I went to go work.
No internet.
Yeah. It was like,
go figure. How'd that happen?
Because there weren't a lot of people like me in the industry. There weren't a lot of people that were writing graffiti and bringing this kind of aesthetic into it.
Right. That were willing to work for.
Right.
Or could communicate. Because there's definitely like a degree of professionalism and communication that. And
I think they liked that I was quiet. I didn't ask for much. But I turned out amazing work. That this work still is huge in the hearts of many.
Yeah.
You got Virgil Abloh propping out Drawers. I'm the founding artist for Drawers, or one of them. I credit to Damon, of course, and Ken Block. I mean, those guys are brilliant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that people really appreciated what we did back in the day.
So question, with all of your success and your tenure and being an artist and all the things that you do, if you were to advise someone coming up that maybe had similar talents that you had in, your teenage years, would you say ride it out with one company, like your opportunity with DC Drawers, or would you say find your own path? What would your advice be now?
That's tough.
That's so hard. That's such a hard question because I really like where I'm at right now, but 10 years ago I didn't like where I was at because I was at rock bottom. Like I was in the gutter with my life and my profession, all the things that American dream that I accumulated, like had all disappeared, and I found myself like, oh shit, I got to reinvent myself. But fortunately, I had done so much work in the industry, and so much work in the streets with graffiti that I just kind of like, okay, I'm going to fall back on myself, because Persue, like, people know the name, whether it be in graffiti or what I had done in the skate industry. Although the skate industry and all that stuff had changed, it felt like I didn't know anyone at all after a certain point that was in that industry anymore. So like,
so it sounds like you master reinventing yourself.
I master reinventing
over
myself,
and over and over again. You know what I mean?
But I think,
and great artists, I think, do that. Not, But
that was the same period when you were in New York that you were able to work with and alongside. I'm not going to say like, work alongside some
great artists.
I know you worked with Rhyme and Hayes.
Yeah, I was surrounded by amazing talent and people that were encouraging me and like saying, "Hey, Dave, you got what it takes. Just apply yourself."
Yeah.
And so like just kind of dig in my memory is like, oh, I just got to go back to like checking in and putting the same effort and energy into my work that I was doing for all these other people for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
I feel that maybe, I don't know if I worked in that industry too long, but things worked the way they needed to. Yeah. And now I'm happy where I'm at.
How did you, so you were at, Tony Mag hired you for
Evil. So I was doing all the board graphics and I learned the computer and all that stuff. And that was 94, going into 95. And then we had heard Ali Asha had moved down and started working with Dub. And then I had seen Ali Asha's first collection with Dub. It had some of my logo stuff. And I was like, I always loved to see the evolution of the early seeds of my work and where it was going. And then his approach in clothing was so fresh and new and exciting. And I was just like, yo, Dub is dope.
That's like in general,
everything.
Huh?
Yeah. It was everything that it should have been with his touch to it, you know? And so when Ken called me, Ken Block called me at Osiris, because we had just launched Osiris. We had turned Evil into Osiris. So I was there at the launch of Osiris. And
who was there during that launch period?
Brian Reed, Tony Magnuson, Tony Chen, myself. Nico had already left. And that's some other kind of players in the where was I? So 95. Oh yeah, Ken Block called me at Osiris and was like, "Hey, would you be into like coming back and working with us at DC?"
How many years later is this?
2 years later.
Okay,
that's cool.
About a year and a half.
He probably felt bad for not firing you himself.
Probably. Yeah. But he probably saw that like I was working on the computer, that he liked. He always loved what I did.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and so I went over. I went back. And I worked with Ali. I went up there and I interviewed with Ali, and he looked at my art and was like, "Yo, you're dope. Like, we'll fuck with you, Yeah. And I'd never fucked with anybody like Ali before, and it was like a completely different company. Like just those 2 years, like just the infrastructure and the management and the teams. It was crazy, and it was all this new money.
And were any of the heads of the company?
It was an exciting time.
It's crazy. Yeah, it was exciting.
Were any of the heads of the company graphic designers or just
Ken Block?
Okay.
Was a graphic designer and creative director, probably COO. I don't know what his official title was, but he is an amazing talent when it comes to branding and marketing. He's really the guy that we were collaborating. I was giving him art aesthetics and the artwork and stuff like that, but he was really like doing the ads and working with the artists and the photographers and the team.
And the reason I asked is because you say when Ali comes in, it's like a different kind of vehicle. And I was wondering if his artistic and his streetwear savvy, him coming on board, helped that as one of the factors.
I think that Well, I think that helped, but I think they were already there. They were just gearing up to kind of take it to the next level, and Alyasha was the man that was going to take them there.
Yo, you got to get the Alyasha podcast, Lower Left podcast. It's excellent.
Yeah.
You'll learn more about it.
Yeah, now you got to figure So, we did Ollie a couple weeks ago. So
I can't wait to hear
Let me
that.
ask you this, Dave, because you were there, and this is something that you and I have discussed, and Ollie and I have discussed. A lot of people that were there, David Lively, of course, and myself, like a lot of us have discussed the early days, the birth, if you will, of streetwear and the coming together of, the East and the West Coast here in San Diego,
Right here in
at
San Diego.
432F.
That's right.
More than just ASR, people like, Hayes and 555 Soul.
This is very
and-
important
and-
times.
It
for-
was. And can you kind of just, what do you remember from that time period? And because you were there alongside
just
all
being
of us.
geeked out like that.
It was-
Hayes and Futura, where all my graffiti heroes were walking the floors, and excited to flex the new gear. Every
Catalogs.
season and the catalogs. Everybody was trying to outdo each other.
Yep.
It was like a pretty healthy, competitive vibe.
Very friendly, though.
Friendly. The parties were great. Just fun.
I don't
man.
remember any.
You don't remember the parties? I should have partied harder, really, man. If I think about it, I should have partied harder.
It was a really exciting time, and I guess part of the one of the little chips of many that I have on my shoulder is that portion of streetwear has been kind of lost or neglected by all the so-called experts out there that don't really acknowledge like the true roots,
Where they get it from.
and the struggle that we all
well,
what
it's an
went
ego.
through.
It's an ego thing.
It wasn't just a struggle. It was we were the rejects. We're not rejects. We were just different.
We're trendsetters, man.
Yeah, but not just tribal, but everybody who was.
There's a lot of people involved.
Started during that time. I mean, but of that group, there's very few that are survived that. And
well, it's
they're
good
still
that there's
doing
a few OGs to set the record straight.
Yeah. Well, like you.
Yeah.
and Ollie. And,
you know what it
and
is?
A lot of us,
It's the technology, right? And the story you're able to kind of like construe on these gadgets. It's not real.
Yeah.
Like part of it is real, of course, but you could say anything like, "Oh, I painted this wall over here," but it's really in your backyard.
Right.
Or, I'm the leader of streetwear fashion because I've been around for 10 years.
For 10, exactly. not 32, not like 25,
man. I
for
mean,
10. And that's part of what I'm saying. Like there's experts out there that, have been in the game for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years.
I think that there should be more shine on San Diego and the players that were in the mix. And woven in the fabrics of this movement.
And I mean, because this is where it happened.
This is the ground zero.
And there were like the skate companies and H Street and obviously DC and Osiris and all the great things that were coming out of San Diego. And then of course, we were a part of that.
So the
too.
streetwear designers evolved out of being designers for the skateboard companies.
A lot of that.
And then it just like, it's based around this designer now. And I was like, wait, what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
And
but there was also a lot of the greats, from LA were finding themselves in San Diego, which a lot of these dudes have still, they're great friends of ours too. People like, of course, Risk and Slick and people that we've been fucking with for years. And then how that kind of moved into the music industry.
Right.
And the involvement of how, the rappers and the rock stars and people in the music industry would, dude, I remember, what's it called? I don't remember, but these, rock bands and rappers, and it was the most exciting time because it was fresh. There was nothing else like it. And if you wanted to be part of the real cool guys, or just be into what was really happening, you had to find your way into one of those shows.
Totally.
And walk out with a handful of catalogs and stickers. Cause it wasn't like you could just walk up to people and go, "Hey, let me get a catalog."
No. Who are you? Your badge doesn't say the right thing.
Yeah. Or if it's not the right color, they're going to bite your catalog.
It was so hard to get the catalogs.
Yeah.
Like we had like people walking around trying to get everyone's catalogs. Yeah. That's exactly. I forgot about that.
Their badge badge would say they were with some other up and coming company or some other company.
Right.
And you're like, nah, why should I give you a catalog? So you could go buy my shit?
Yeah.
Like,
And this is most of this time is before like big corporate sponsors where you're taking your own money, piecing up with the homie, borrowing from your parents,
all of that.
whatever you can do, getting favors to get in. You know, it wasn't like, you know,
no, they were actually opening the back door, switching badges, come in.
Yeah.
We'll pick these up. We got 5 extra. You could use them when you get in, take it off, go get the other homies.
Totally.
Like,
to make it happen, just to make it happen.
Because it was about creating
I'm outside.
creating the most hype and that we could. But
Totally.
okay, so Dave went from, and you were painting the whole time.
Oh yeah, I'm writing graffiti the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm writing these two parallels at once. So
Right.
I'm pioneering the graffiti movement along with what is it, streetwear, or
skateboard
fashion
industry,
shit.
because that was also a transcending time for skateboarding with
Right.
the big footwear brand.
Yes.
So the first largest emerging footwear brand was probably DC. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think they
Besides,
became that. There was
of
America.
course, there was Vans.
Well, there was Vans.
Come on, man! I had a pair of Airwalks.
There was
I'm not cool.
Airwalks,
Yeah, there was Airwalks.
Vans, but the times have changed.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're representing the new.
Yeah,
blood.
this is
We were
when
new
you would
blood.
get Airwalks at like Target or Walmart. Like they
Right.
became
I
like
think you
not
still
cool,
can.
cool anymore.
Yeah. But nobody was
before they
wearing-
were cool, but then they became not cool.
Yeah.
Vans weren't in fashion, like in skateboarding at the time. I think that there was a lot, people were just transitioning into like our companies, especially the ones I was involved with. They were like, oh, we can get into this footwear game. There's a lot of money there and there's a lot of opportunity and we can make footwear for our skateboarders and we could pay them more. And it was just like timing was like impeccable, man, because like that shit just hit and
Skateboarding was changing in itself.
it changed, yeah.
Not just the business part of it, but the way people were skating and just
next level stuff.
Yeah, and then you had all
but now look at it. It's crazy. It's even crazier because of Tony Hawk's skateboard video game. I used to remember skaters coming back from contests back in the early 2000s or whenever that game dropped and saying like, oh, the kids, they wanted me to do this trick from Tony Hawk. I can't skate like that. I don't skate like that. But now the kids are skating like that, which is just insane. So like it's even evolved even further, but now it's interesting to see kind of like these brands come like from the 90s coming back into fashion. It's cool to see because I feel that they got swallowed up by the monster corporations,
right.
and that paid their way into skateboarding.
The monster chain stores as well, like
And that too.
the ones that have their own brands,
Right.
Like that will take your ideas and your style and.
But I
make their
think
own private label.
the skateboarding industry changed too. A lot of industry people came in. It wasn't, even though it might have been skateboard owned, like maybe the infrastructure was a little bit different and they were looking like, okay, let's just grab the money while we can. And that's why they were putting their product everywhere, like in these mall stores. They were like in every other store. How long was that going to last until the bubble burst? And then it burst and audio went out of business. DC took a huge hit. Osiris took a huge hit. Everybody took a huge hit. Started letting people go.
Why do you think that hit occurred?
Because I think that people saw a different trend coming, which was Vans and Nike SBs and Dunks and the retro shoes from yesteryear.
And Converse have always been in the mix.
They finally got their way in. Nike found their way in.
Yeah.
With the SB. So I was, I think I went back, and worked with Ollie, and then he broke out to go start Alphanumeric. And I stuck around with Damon and Ked for a few more months and then got a phone call I think it was 98. Got a phone call from this guy, Raul Reese. And Raul Reese had Foursquare, outerwear. He had Special Blend. He
You mean
had
the
Forum,
Circa guys?
Forum snowboards. Yeah, but they weren't Circa yet.
So Raul Reese, the dad?
Yeah, Raul Reese, his father is a preacher.
He's a pastor,
pastor,
And a real good one, actually.
Is he?
Yeah, he's really
Well,
really
he had
good.
to be because the house that I used to go to for Raw's house on the beach was pretty fat.
But he's got an amazing story. He's actually a really, he speaks really well. He's a really cool pastor. His sons are really, really cool too.
Yeah, so Raul came. Oh, Raul and Ryan, yeah.
Well, then there's another brother. I don't know if, Good
yeah,
guys.
he was a younger
though.
guy.
They're good
Ryan
guys.
Ryan
Yeah,
Reese.
yeah,
I believe he was
yeah.
younger than Raul.
He's involved with Sonny now with the Whosoevers.
Crazy.
And San Diego native as well?
Sonny and Fielding.
Oh, who Raul?
Yeah.
No, they're from like San Clemente up there.
Somewhere up there.
Yeah. So they came head hunting for me because Nico, who I had worked with at Evil, was like, get me Persue for this new project, and I had heard that it was going to be a shoe company. And I was like, okay, it piques my interest. And I had lunch with Raw, and he's all, throw a number at me. So I threw a number at him. He said yes right away. And I said, fuck. I should have
Can I
said
ask
that.
what year and what the amount was? Can I ask the year and the
This
amount?
is 99, and I'm not going to tell you the amount.
Okay. Right.
But
It was
99
more
was
money
about
than I had ever. It was probably double what DC was
Fair
paying
enough.
me at the time.
Fair enough.
And I was like, damn, I should ask for more, because the people that came after me, I know what they were making. And I was like, but they're using all my art. Anyways.
Yeah. That's frustrating. Huh?
It is, but it's cool. You know, like now I get to talk about it, and I get to say, like people still love that logo.
Yeah.
Oh, I was involved with that. I could tell you so many stories about
Yeah.
that company because I was there at the inception of it.
And what's great is you can tell your own story.
Yeah.
That's what's really great about the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you. I went up there for, I took the job. I went up there and I walked into Raul Reese's beach house, and there was Chad Muska sitting there on the couch. And I was like, oh shit, Chad Muska. So what up, Persue? And I was like, oh, I guess we're doing the shoe company,
Yeah.
He's all, yeah. And I was like, all right. I hadn't seen anything, we were just meeting, and, they basically hired me on to come up with what this shoe company is going to look like help with the aesthetic, like maybe even the name, maybe even the logo, whatever I can do to contribute. They wanted me to be a part of it. So I think we, after our, brief introduction and talks, it was actually the first time I had met him. We went to the pier just to walk around, and these young girls ran up to him for his autograph. It was the first time I ever seen anybody
Muska?
Yeah. Run up to him and like ask for an autograph, like a pro skater for an autograph. Like, yo, that shit's crazy. Like, I know that we're making moves, but like people running up to this young man, like, yo, that's crazy that they want his autograph. They don't even skate. Trip. Like, okay, he's on another level, right?
Yeah.
And so when we went back to the offices, I saw what would become Chad Muska's first Circa Pro model, the 701. And the working name for that company was M80. So they were working with an M80 until I came up with the name Circa.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You came up with that.
I did.
Dope.
And the logo was a collaboration between, I guess, myself and Nico, because he had designed this kind of like this pattern on the bottom of the shoe that kind of resembled like the aesthetic of what DC did with the pill pattern that's on the bottom of their shoe, which I designed. All I did was put brackets around it, and it was underneath his nose the entire time, but he needed me to show him like, oh, since it's already tied to the shoe, like blank, like this, there it is, So, I remember, I think Brian Reed was there at, the meeting when I unveiled the name, like, hey, I think we should call it Circa. Circa represents the past, the present, the future. It could be all encompass time, Circa.
Yeah.
That was my pitch.
To me, it always sounded like a fun name because I think of circus.
Yeah.
There was even a popular San Diego band called Circa.
Was there?
Yep. I worked with the guy at Guitar Center for a while.
Oh, no shit. That's crazy. I don't know how the name came to me because I was looking at baby name books.
Yeah.
I was looking at dictionaries. I don't know how and where. I think it was just, maybe I heard it somewhere and I was like, yo, that represents a time and an era.
And you know what was cool about that time is we really had to stick our nose in the books.
Yeah.
We were going to the libraries. Mm-hmm. We were, going to the bookstores.
You couldn't get on Google and find an image.
We were going to buy a bunch of magazines,
books.
going to Tower Records,
Yeah, get
like
influence.
going to see traveling, like the first, those first European and Japan trips were like, I'd spend a lot of time in bookstores and buying magazines and records, and it was music, it was books, it was, culture, it was just everything we could get our hands on, and try to find some inspiration out there.
Right. Yeah, exactly, man. But I was only at Circa for probably 8 months.
Did you at least get a pair of shoes?
No. Right? It's weird. Every time I left a company, like they would never talk to me again. Like wait, I just gifted you guys. Well, you not my friends all of a sudden. I think that they were like, loyalty thing. And I was like, I understand, but like, maybe I was a little too spreading my seed a little bit too much, but there was a period of time where like families or skaters, I was like, I designed that. Oh, I designed that. Oh, those are my shoes. Like it was just everywhere. It's crazy. I got a kick out of that,
Yeah. So going back to jumping around a little bit to graffiti.
Yeah.
So who were your early inspirations, right? And then who are the guys up to now that you think are the ones that are like your favorites and dudes that you're just like, holy fuck?
Favorites are going to be hard because there's so much talent, but the early guys
feel free. Favorites and early guys that inspired you.
Early guys here were in this city, in San Diego. So, Quasar, Dyes, Saki, Zodak. I remember being a young graffiti writer in high school and having a picture of Zodak's. It was like this wicked character sitting on top of a tombstone painted at Olive Street yard back in the day. And somebody had handed it off to me, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out the techniques he had used to achieve this beautiful painting. And I wanted to be Zodak. You know what I'm saying?
Probably almost probably like 90% of the other graffiti writers.
Yeah. So Zodak, of course, Slick, because I was a character guy
I think
first and foremost.
Quasar, going back to Quasar, when he did those secret letters for the battle,
right?
They were way the fuck ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Like
What do you mean secret letters? You can't make them out?
No, it said secret.
He did a secret
and
piece.
they look like they were blowing. Like there was movement in these letters that wasn't like any other style or movement. The only person that I could say that I seen letters maybe 15 to 20 years later that looked almost like it would maybe be Revoke.
Yeah, I could see some movement like that. I was going to say just to kind of how Quasar came to be that with that approach was that Phase 2 was sending his black books to San Francisco. This is a story told to me by Apex, was that Phase 2 was sending his books to TWS, Cray One, and all these guys in San Francisco, and they were seeing Phase 2 pieces, and they were taking their traditional graffiti and then abstracting it to kind of like camouflage it like Phase 2. And then that Quasar picked up onto that and brought that down here. So Quasar is a product of Phase 2 without like being connected to him, but through TWS.
So question.
U.S. mail.
Nowadays, you email a file, whatever the case. You're talking about sending a black book. Like, I don't get it. So he's literally taking his black book and mailing it to them?
Probably Xeroxes or pages. Yeah, people would draw and just put them in the mail. That's how we did it.
We would get letters from all over the world and drawings and photos and have pen pals. And then later on, it became faxes. You'd start faxing some things. But
Technology.
It was about hitting the streets and actually pen to paper. A lot of stuff like that, and and I still have a ton of that shit. Like I've got some really cool stuff that I used to get from Twist. And,
cool.
Oh god,
the tribal scrolls.
Yeah. The tribal scrolls.
Oh, they're out
there.
They're somewhere. In
I've got
building.
a few, not too many, not as much as I should, considering how much time and energy I put into it.
Yeah, there was some really crazy things. So keep going.
I was probably a lot of the character guys. So yeah, Slick and Zodak were huge influences because letters would come later for me.
Yeah.
Later on, guys like Wayne would become my mentor, and really kind of like help me understand how to do a real graffiti piece, like a straight letter burner wild style, like almost like hold my hand in a sense, you know, like, hey, this doesn't really make sense. Like try this, like really hands-on mentoring me.
What's a burner?
A burner is a complex graffiti piece, something that it has a lot of points and arrows, and it's ready for war.
And wild style is
a little bit of the same.
Okay.
Yeah, wild style burner could be kind of classified, I think, as the same.
And
Depends on your mood.
Yeah.
And burner kind of flows better, but people don't usually say like you did this sick wild style piece. It's
Yeah,
like
you did this burner.
Okay.
Burner is like, yo, your eyes, your brain. It's like, yo,
Okay.
like you're
burning
That's
people
like
with
next
it too.
level shit.
Okay.
Or you
Yeah.
snapped, you know, like
Okay.
snap kind of came
Yeah.
later.
Dope.
Yeah.
And then how about going like now where we're at and you look back at the whole scene, like who are the guys that you think are just the standouts? Like on an international level, I know there's people that you've
man.
befriended, and we have
Yeah.
friends like Toast.
Cantu, Toast,
Cantu, of
Bates. It was a big influence.
The European
of mine.
guys were just ridiculous.
Sweat.
Yeah.
I love Sweat's work. The guys in Norway, like Raid and Oslo.
I got one.
Eggs, Motu,
Jerry Joker.
Jerry Joker. And he was here in San Diego. I was so lucky to meet that guy.
That guy, I love that dude. Like
Yeah.
that's one guy who's probably you can't say enough good things about
I
this
know.
dude. Like just his talent, his personality.
It felt, I just got along with him right away because
Everybody
we were
did,
I had an eclectic ear for music. You know, I listened to boom bap, you know, during those years, the early 90s. I still listen to it. I'm just saying, but like the stuff that predated that for me was all the post-punk stuff.
Yeah.
And so like he was a post-punk kind of byproduct as well. And like, but we were like deep dive, like post-punk shit, like the shit that you don't really know about, like the stuff that you keep to yourself because you don't want anybody else to know type stuff. Like, so we geeked out on that, and we liked women in like S&M gear. So like he had these crazy magazines of like, called Skin 2, and it was like bondage and all this shit. And I was like, oh, that shit looks dope. Like, and then, he had a different just approach to his graffiti. He had already mastered like the straight letter forms, but evolved it into this abstraction. He, the way I look at it is like Phase 2, Ram LZ, Futura, Jerry Joker.
Yeah. I'll give that to you because Joker, you tell Joker like, hey, do some throw up burner type.
Got to say
school,
John 1 too. I mean, the guy.
Graffiti stuff, and he'll do that. He'll do characters, the sick characters, hand styles for days. Like
what's a hand style?
Just
like a signature,
like a marker tags and marker.
Either you got a good one or a bad one.
Yeah,
dope.
But he could write, like he had so many. But like Dave said, he simplified it. And another guy who was way ahead of his time, because I'm looking at pieces that people are posting now, and I'm like, that's Joker 25, 30 years ago,
right?
25 years ago.
Well, that's why Graffiti Police. Woo! Hey, that's Joker. Look at Jerry Insco. If you want to appreciate this guy's work, you should probably look at the guy who started it.
Yeah. And the name of the crew, which I think Dave's still a part of too.
Yeah. Transcend. Yeah. Transcendental.
Yeah. And that was an
noise.
international crew.
That was an international crew.
I think there were some dudes from.
Well, I met Cantu through you, and I got down with Stick Up Kids.
Yeah.
Probably around the same time. And that was a big introduction, man.
Beast, dude. Cantu's just
incredible.
Man, yeah.
That's somebody
I still get, I'm sure Dave does too. It's like, I'm enjoying this podcast because when we say a name, these images pop in my head.
Oh yeah, all these memories.
And it's the not just their art, but them as a person, and then that whole story behind it. But Cantu is man. Like
he's funky.
He'll go all over the place.
Cool candy, man.
He's a straight beast. He's from Hamburg, Germany.
Ooh, is he from Mainz?
He's from Hamburg.
He's from Mainz.
Well, I think,
but his business was in Hamburg, right?
I always used to hang with them in Hamburg because we used to go to Hamburg, and that's the crew. That was Dime,
right?
And that was Tossic, right. And that was Stowhead, and Daddy Cool.
I met Stowhead through you as well,
and just a great.
Man, so much good shit was coming out.
And then those Urban Discipline shows. Yeah, that's where I first seen the Banksy stuff for the first time. And
those are, I guess that would
Jerry
be
Joker out there.
Yeah, that would be like the earliest kind of like example of like a Beyond the Street would be those urban display
and
shows.
They were really, really well done. And Dime was at the forefront of all those too. And I have those books. Like I tell people the first time I saw that Banksy stuff, I was like, what the fuck is this?
You know, it's crazy to hear people kind of talk about Banksy being a legend, because I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
I know that he has a graffiti background, and I know who he is.
Yeah.
I just refuse.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? The thing about that I'll give to Banksy is he doesn't give it to himself. Like he knows, he goes, I'm a cheater. He goes, I do stencils and I do wheat paste and I don't like, but then he'll admire and pay respects to people like Risky and people
because he
like,
knows the deal.
Yeah.
But what I do like about him, it was his work in the streets.
Yeah.
When it evolved from that into like a scenario that was like a warehouse or, you know, a show, you know, it became a little hot topic for me.
I'll give it to him too, that he was the forefront of quote street art unquote, or part of the forefront as opposed to just graffiti. So when street art became a big thing, it was like, that was kind of,
he's a poster child for it, but
I think
Shepard Bleak the Rat predates him, you know. I don't know, you know, I don't know.
So Dave's dropping names. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
Interesting.
But that's the way. So,
well,
Dave,
it's out there, you know. It's open source. Yeah. I'm just kind of.
So Dave has what I think is, I know it's a passion project for him. You see it all over the world now. I know he's done some really insane, beautiful shows in China that I wasn't invited to.
Oh, we got to get you out to one of those.
But he also is really involved with the WetPaint project. He does curate shows all over I know in Asia he's done some, and I know he's also involved with the Graffiti Museum, or was involved with the Graffiti Museum.
We had a show there
in Miami. So tell us. So let's just BunnyKitty.
Oh, BunnyKitty.
That's your baby, but then so is WetPaint.
BunnyKitty's a baby, yeah.
And so is
she's like a teenager now.
But WetPaint is another one of your babies.
Yes.
And
I'll tell you how they all come together and why they all work together. Is because when I started doing BunnyKitty in 2001, it was it's funny because people were always expecting me to do something more skate related or streetwear related, even though I felt like BunnyKitty could exist in those,
like a little harder,
right? They felt like, oh, he could go a little harder with this, but why is he fucking drawing this cat in a bunny suit with eyelashes and like it's all cute and shit? It's kind of out of the box. I was like, well, growing up with the heroes like Jim Henson and Charlie Brown and things like that, like I love like characters, and I was already a character artist. Right. And I just so randomly got this idea of this cat and a bunny, like putting it together. It was just random. Right. And it was like, it's like one of those things, like I designed the character and I put it in the computer and I looked at it I studied it for hours. You know, it was like when I was a kid, I would walk my neighborhood for hours and hours. That's where I like gathered my thoughts as a child. It's like I would just walk. It was like my favorite thing to do. And I felt that it channeled like something like in me that I could take with me somewhere, you know, like just walk, think, walk. Right. So like it was that kind of energy. And I was like, yo, I could really do something like that. You know, there's nothing really kind of like edgy that's competing with Sanrio, like Hello Kitty and this cute stuff. But I could put a spray can in BunnyKitty's hand, and I could put knives in the Booger Monster's hands, and I could put graffiti in it.
Shout out to Rilla though.
Yeah, and Rilla, yeah, totally.
That's I like Rilla. Rilla's my character. Man. Yeah,
Rilla's fun.
Yeah. So these are all characters that are part of a story.
Yeah. So through the years, I'm 20 years deep in BunnyKitty, so there's like a cast of like 30 plus characters that all are attached to my family, my friends, my enemies, everyone, just experiences. Like it's my life. It's life imitating art. So like if somebody comes and says, oh, I'm not really feeling BunnyKitty, and they feel that they have to tell me this, oh, well, fuck you, man. Like, you know, then you're speaking against everything I love. You're speaking against my mom. You're speaking against my friends. You're speaking against my enemies. You don't have a fucking right. So, you know, BunnyKitty is that passionate.
So where did it come from?
A girl I was flirting with.
Look at it. Dave's funny. Dave's pretty goofy though.
I'm goofy as fuck.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm easy to approach, man. I'm easy to talk to.
Always happy and smiley and like. But
You know, I'm
I just got
happy.
this
I'm a
vision of
happy
you in
dude.
all the baggy clothes in the early '90s.
Remember that?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, really, where did it come from and how did it evolve? I know your mom has a part in it.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Thank you. The character came about just by, I met a girl that I liked and she's like, will you draw me a BunnyKitty? I go, what's a BunnyKitty? And she's like, well, it's this. And I was like, okay. I'd never seen a BunnyKitty before. So like,
I don't think anybody had.
yeah,
Dave.
at that time, I don't think so. And so like, the earliest drawing in 2001 doesn't look anything like the latest version of BunnyKitty. It's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And so, that's just it. I just applied myself and refining the world. And what had happened was that in 2010, I had stepped away from the skateboard industry and found myself around Rhyme and MSK guys and Seventh Letter a lot more and painting more graffiti. And my letters were taking shape and they were kind of wondering like, what's the whole deal with BunnyKitty? But I just couldn't get it to where like I could show people like, this is my intention with it, is to create a family brand, something so good that all the good things that it will do, it'll bring good things back to me. You know what I mean? Because it's coming from a good place. And so it took a lot of sacrifice. And one of those sacrifices was moving to New York City in 2013 at the age of 40 something, with like very little money and just like the writing of the book that I had done with my late mom 12 years prior. So the book was sitting in, or the writing of the book was sitting in my computer for 12 years until I finally took the chance and the opportunity to make it happen. And I moved to New York to do that. Mm-hmm. Then I found myself for a few months in Rhyme Studio and Eric Hayes. Shout out to those guys for really opening up their space for me to be creative and to pursue this.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no, it was difficult and it was challenging because I was met with a lot of like, just, it was hard. It was difficult to navigate, but I got the book out and like a lot of things just with the bunny, just the doors started to swing open and
international doors.
Yeah. And people started putting the money on the bunny and, it had always brought in a little bit of money and I knew that it could bring in and people are attracted to it and the story. And, the more I was able to tell that story through the venues and the shows that I was doing, the more people gravitated to it. And it just organically grew like that.
So where that show, like I said, the one in China that you did looked insane.
Yeah.
That was a big show. And then you did, I think you said you did one, was it Chicago? Or?
Well, we did, the WetPaint show. So how I discovered the WetPaint signs was because I was living in New York doing the BunnyKitty stuff, getting that all kind of like going. And I was taking the trains and I think I first painted, on found MTA cards. That was an idea Rhyme gave me. Well, just find something to paint on it and sell it on your store. Make a few $100 because I wasn't making anything. I was spending the money that I had invested. I was spending like anything that I had invested back on just surviving in New York City.
Yeah.
So I needed to generate money. So I was painting little BunnyKitties on MTA cards and selling them to the sites. I was doing print releases and whatnot. But then I noticed these WetPaint signs. I go, oh, that's a dope sign. Maybe I'll just take one of those and paint on it. I don't know what I would do, like, fuck. And so, I don't even, cause I was sitting on the bench and I looked up and I saw the sign. I don't even think I grabbed that sign. I just thought about it. I go, and then it just didn't escape my mind. It just was always there. And then I had gone out and I'd done a show or something like an art show or a mural or something. And I came back to the city and I saw it again. And I was like, oh, fuck it. I'm going to take it. And I took it and I brought it to my studio in Red Hook and it sat on my art table for about a year. And, I had done a bunch of work. There was like, I was doing Comic Cons now, promoting BunnyKitty and, anything I could do, like just to kind of like keep it just that vibration. Right. Uh-huh. And, came back to New York again. And I was like, okay, this time I'm going to paint on this WetPaint joint. And it was the same thing that happened when I looked into the eyes of BunnyKitty on the computer monitor. it was like,
That's
this
romantic,
could be
Dave.
something.
That's pretty romantic.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you know,
I looked into the eyes of BunnyKitty.
Well, you have
on
to,
the computer
because, like,
monitor.
she has
And
soul.
you made her eyes.
if you compare her to her competitor, like Hello Kitty and stuff,
Right.
like Hello Kitty's got black dots.
Right.
Like BunnyKitty has eyes.
Yeah.
She's got a soul.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
You know, so like, it was like BunnyKitty led me to this wet paint sign. I applied the painting to it. I played with the letters, and I'm not the first artist that had ever done artwork on a wet paint sign. I think in my archives, Dr. Dax, he lent me a Stay High from 2004. Rest in peace, Stay High, 149. And I don't know. I think I'm probably the first person that actually like turned it into something, like a movement within the movement. And I recognized that, I can invite my friends to be a part of this. So I invited Wayne, I invited Keo, and then Wayne turned down an art show in New York City at 212 Gallery and said to the curator, you should fuck with Persue. He's got this wet paint thing going. It's a dope concept. What I learned about these signs was that you couldn't buy these signs in the hardware stores. You had to get them from the stations or the work bums in the New York City subway
So how
stations.
would you get them?
I would ride the trains. I would have friends in the city ride the trains and pick them up for me. And I'd meet them at the bar or dinner and be like, I found this on the way. Or, my wife would ride the train. Babe, I got off the station. You won't believe it. There was 25 wet paint signs there. I was like, fuck yeah, jackpot.
Nice.
Because now we're looking at it as like, it's money.
So
right?
what you would do is
Allegedly.
you would give these signs to artists that
we would
were
curate.
your friends, or you'd curate,
like
and then
either myself or Wayne.
You started doing shows with these.
Yeah. So like what had happened from the 212 art show was that, you know what, DC was going back and telling their history story, and Ken Block dropped my name on that video, and High Snobiety was their media partner in that, and they're like, where's this Persue guy?
Yeah.
So like they called me up, and like Charles Letty over there at DC, I'm grateful to that guy, because he was like, yo, Persue, come back in, tell your story. And then I was like, yo, Charles, I'm doing this with wet paint. He's like, yo, I love that shit. I was all, yo, I need, would you guys be interested in getting behind me, with the show in Tokyo? I just had this idea of doing a wet paint show in Tokyo.
Fuck it.
And they're like, it's just an idea.
Yeah,
I want to go to Japan.
That's right. Don't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. And, so he was like, all right, let's set that up let me introduce you to Ben Wang over here. He's in charge of the streetwear aesthetic of DC, and let's introduce you to him. And they love the concept, and they put me on. They made a video about it. And that led to Tokyo. And then that show got the attention to producers in Shanghai and also Philadelphia at the same time, simultaneously. I already had the deal for the Shanghai show, but Philly called Teresina at High Arts Production. She got me a gig with Lapstone and Hammer, which is like this crazy boutique out there. And I was doing that big show in Shanghai. I was designing all of that and Philly at the same time. And it was a crazy amount of work. I had help from my team, of course, like Wayne, and we worked with a great legendary graffiti writer and built a capsule around his name in Philly, a writer by the name of NM, who we felt like deserves to get a lot of shine.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of shine on the Philly scene. So it was great.
Those shows, the one in Shanghai was that the biggest one of all of them?
That was the biggest one, and I was blown away by that shit.
That I was too, dude.
I was like, what the fuck? People are gonna bug the fuck out.
When I saw pictures of that show, I couldn't believe how big was that BunnyKitty that was? What was
like
it on
20 feet tall.
Was it on the roof of the venue?
It was like on the outside of it. Yeah, we built like a train station, and you walked inside this BunnyKitty train, and inside the train was the wet paint show. And we had like a great roster of artists. Hayes was in it, Dr. Revolt, Crayola, Ewok, MSK. A lot of Chinese Writers, because you always want to bring the locals in,
right?
It felt good, man. It felt like, this shit's working.
What about, and then you did it here in the States?
So after that, Ket had hit me up. He's with the Museum of Graffiti in Miami.
Yeah.
And he was like, we want to bring it. We really love what you guys are doing with WetPaint. And of course, we love BunnyKitty too. So like, would you be into doing a show here at the museum? I was like, bet. He's all, yeah, all right, cool. So why don't you and Wayne come out and you can paint the exterior? And we did that in December of 2019. Was it? Yeah, 2019. So much time has gone by. And then came back a month later to do the show and went home sick as a dog. And then COVID fucking hit.
Damn. Yeah, that COVID, like, that's kind of how a lot of people where they had momentum and they were like on a roll and making moves and shit was happening. And
shit was popping.
I remember right before COVID hit, you and I had gone out to lunch.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and I was excited. I'm like, damn, Dave, all this
you could
cool
do this,
shit
you could do that. I know.
badass. We're like brainstorming. I'm like, dude, and like, fuck, I want to go. Like, when's the next one? Like, but we were all like,
serious,
just hanging out, and it was super, super exciting. And then, then COVID hit. And so how did that affect not just your momentum, but your art in general? And you and I hung out several times during COVID, and we did a couple projects and things like that. But how did COVID mess with your whole program?
The whole program. It was crazy because, I had a lot of things on the table. There was a lot of more interest in international wet paint shows, Australia, different places in Canada. Just another show in Asia. Like there was a lot on the table. So it was hard to like kind of like be like, oh, okay, like, all right, well, it's not going to happen. Maybe it'll happen in a month, like when this shit's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what we did do, we used Twitch. So we moved to Twitch and right. Yeah. All of a sudden I find myself as some sort of freaking host.
No, not just that. Like Dave is a big kid, man. Like if you watch these Twitch things, his creativity and his like not giving a fuck, which is a beautiful thing.
It's good.
It's just he has a great time.
Yeah.
And there was costumes and color and the shit was like
we had your son perform.
Mascots.
Yeah,
mascots.
Yeah, Bobo did a thing with you.
Yeah.
And then Mike Giant did Mike would go and DJ.
Oh,
and
he would come often and DJ.
Crazy like stuff. And are those still available for people to see?
I believe we have. No, they delete after a certain amount of time off of Twitch, but we have them. We save them. They're in the archive.
You can't put those up on YouTube.
We could put them on. Well, I don't know about the music rights. That might be an issue because of the DJing and all that stuff. But what I've been moving towards more recently, because I haven't really been doing the live stuff. It's just a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask for sometimes. And like when you're the only guy kind of like putting the ideas together and you have an art career and some movements.
Well, artistic has
it's hard to do.
Did you see the wall coming up? We have art put in a whole green screen.
Oh, you did?
Wall here.
So, I knew you had the screen.
No,
he painted.
He's got a big green wall here. So maybe you could, if Art's feeling like he's in a good mood one day, because he's usually in a bad mood.
I'm always good. We gotta do some more music. We got a couple of records we worked on. Some music.
So what about music, Dave? So you play the bass.
I
but
pluck
you've been
around.
in some bands.
I played in a rock and roll band. It was just to help my brother. He's the singer songwriter.
But you enjoy that.
I do love music. It's inside me. I just wish I was better at communicating.
Yeah. What do you mean? Your music?
Just more like theory.
Yeah.
I wish I had better theory because I feel that my timing and different things or ideas, I could paint the picture, but I can't move as fast as say some of the professional musicians can. Oh, play this. Oh, where I'm like, okay, show me. Oh wait, okay, let me hear it. Okay, wait, bear with me. It's kind of awkward. But
I'll tell you what, and you too, Art, and this is kind of off subject, but Thundercats playing Escondido, California Center for the Arts.
Oh, that'd
June
be dope.
5th. We just got our tickets, so we'll be
dope.
there.
Oh,
so
I might have to jump on that.
I would jump on that quick, but Thundercats just amazing.
I might have to jump on that.
Yeah. So June 5th, and we could do a pre-thing at my pad.
Ooh, I like that.
Or afterwards or something like that.
I love it.
Do something nice.
I love it. But
don't you know him? Well, who met him? Trey told.
yeah,
Trey
Trey,
from
yeah.
POD was here yesterday.
Yeah.
He was talking about he was friends with that
He's
dude.
making a lot of
He
noise.
plays in
man.
another band too called Ghost Note.
Ghost Note. I love that name.
And he
Dope
used to
band.
be in
Ghost Note,
Suicidal.
I haven't heard that.
Someone
He was in Suicidal?
Yeah, I think Bobo or Isaac told me that
Later.
Yeah,
A later
I don't know if it
incarnation?
was younger or when, but
'Cause he's
Thundercat-
pretty youngish, right?
And then no, from what I heard, he's an older
he?
dude. But then, yeah,
I don't know his age,
but all I know is
Yeah.
that he's an amazing
Yeah.
bassist. But
That's awesome, man. I think we were talking about, so we did the wet paint. We did wet paint quarantine, which we sold art through the show. Wayne was here, and we had the green screen, and I had Wayne also writes hymns, and he's a notorious bomber, like from the train era. So I put like a train on the wall, on the green screen, and he painted like a hymn throw up on it. And then we did the show, and we were able to stand on top of all the art and talk about each person. And we had people come in, like interview Dero.
Very dope concept.
you know
fun,
who's
Catch
sick is
and all
that
that
dude,
shit.
Billy Dagger.
He's dope, right?
God,
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to get him in here. I invited him, but during COVID, I go, when this shit clears up, you got to come through. I'm gonna hit him up. Dude, that style, cleanliness, he's sick.
He's dope, man. I'll put a good.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to come meet
Yeah,
you. But
he said he wanted to come through, but
I'll put a little reminder in
thanks,
his ear.
dude. Thanks, dude.
Billy Daggers.
We're looking for you, Billy Dagger, with the swagger.
Yeah, homeboy's sick.
He's
and
sick.
he's a local cat.
He is. He's in my neighborhood, PQ.
Yeah.
So and then we did that, and then I did a contest, a wet paint contest for all the kids and all the artists that were stuck inside during quarantine. That's what I did, man. Like that's what I kind of really first got into. Like with BunnyKitty, I created activity sheets, like coloring pages, connect the dots. And I put them on my site for free, and I was like, yo, like families, like here's something for your kids to do. But, I couldn't do that every day or every other day. It was a lot, and so, I felt like, like since we're all stuck, why don't we just open it up to the community and make, continue the momentum, but like virtually. And so I put the template of the wet paint sign and a disclaimer saying like, yo, don't fucking steal this. We own it. This is just to keep your mental health well. Don't go getting any ideas, please. But we want you to partake in this party or this contest. And so to our surprise, there was like 400 entries.
Oh shit.
And Wayne and I took days to go through, like we took each piece serious and looked at it and like, yo, this is dope. People came with sculptures. They came with outdoor installations. They came with, we were moved by it.
Sick.
This shit was insane. And then after that, I don't know what I've done with wet paint thus far, but I know that we're talking to people about doing shows, but I don't know what else to do. There's probably some clothing things that I could do, but it takes so much energy. But like I'm being pulled with
that came from BunnyKitty.
That came from being in the city from BunnyKitty.
But the thing about going back to that whole thing about BunnyKitty is it's ultra contemporary in my eyes. Mm-hmm. It's very colorful, like what kids are into now. Like kids now are super like bubblegum, bright ass colors. Like it's
totally, it's crazy.
It's now. It's like now. It's right on.
It took 20 years to get there. Let me tell you. And here in this country, if I were in Asia or if I was doing this in Asia, I'd probably have been a lot further.
Dude, that piece you did in Logan, like in front of
Arts and Rec.
Yeah.
Shout out Arts and Rec 95.
Dude, that shit is just very colorful, stands out. It's like it's...
Thanks, man. I was kind of like surprised that they tapped me to do a drop with them, mm-hmm. So I did a BunnyKitty and a wet paint drop with them. It's 2 different times. Mm-hmm. The wet paint was tied in with Kellen James, a local skater, pro skater.
Real cool dude, too.
Yeah, dope
international, but he lives local.
That's right.
Yeah,
he's
great
international.
Great
Absolutely.
dude.
Don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
But the BunnyKitty stuff, like, we want to put on a skateboard, we want to put on some gear. I was like, BunnyKitty on the skateboard? Yo, like, really? Because I used to get made fun of in the skateboarding for doing BunnyKitty. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, oh, we don't want that bitch made shit here, and da-da-da-da. Like, I had to listen to this shit, mm-hmm. And like, here it is, like, on a skateboard, and it sells out. And it's like, oh, shit. Okay. BunnyKitty time is now.
I think so.
Right. So,
you know what's great when I listen to both of you guys, how you guys went through no computer to then using the computer to coming up with all these different styles and techniques before you had the internet or information, right? Like what tip to use. This does this, all of this trial and error.
Yeah.
And then just paying homage to all of the OGs and the people who came before you.
It's most important.
I'm most impressed with the relationships that you kept with the people when you got fired.
Yeah.
And then you're able to tap back into them and tap back into them through all of these years. Yeah. And good things continue to come out of that nucleus of where you first started and they canned you.
Yeah. No, it's crazy because I was in such a dark time for, it seemed like almost 8 years, you know, that I was like in this valley, you know, that I felt forgotten. You know, and that, and that's a hard blow when you're a graffiti writer and you have this ego connected to you, maybe, you know, like, I don't know.
I think it's more than that, Dave.
It probably
it's going back to all that you've done for so many companies and in the industry in general. And
there's no reparations, Bobby. I want my reparations check.
You and I have
who do I got to talk to?
You and I have had this discussion, like just all that he's contributed to the different industries and things like that. But when you look at Dave now, you know, as a father and his lifestyle as far as like being able to work, you know, when he wants to work and having a cool studio that you share with Mike Giant.
I'm so grateful. Are you kidding?
Dave and Mike's.
It's so hard to share a space with a man named Giant. And let me tell you, dude, this guy, he's big.
Yeah.
He's awesome. That guy, like being around him and like seeing his work ethic. I thought I worked hard. This guy is just insane.
Yeah. And he plays hard.
He plays hard too.
Shout out Mike Giant.
Yeah.
Shout out Mike Giant.
He plays hard, and he is definitely, you know, he's an inspiration to all of us. He's always been that guy, and he's funny.
It's so I love it. I mean, we've known Mike for decades, and it's so great to have him here in our city, man. It kind of just gives us a little bit more of that juice.
Yeah. So what are you working on now? What is Persue doing in 21, late 21 and into 22? Like where's your focus?
Licensing. It seems like, you know, like there's more opportunity for BunnyKitty licensing deals. I've got product dropping with a really popular Chinese sportwear company by the name of Li-Ning. And I did footwear with them and even cut and sew, BunnyKitty cut and sew.
Oh shit!
Hopefully you get a pair of shoes this time.
Me?
Yeah.
Or you?
You.
Yeah.
Because last time,
I did.
You got them because, you know, you designed the other shoes and you didn't even get a pair.
The boys were talking about that the other day.
Exactly.
Both my boys were talking about your shoes.
About the shoes?
Yeah, they're like, did you see those shoes Dave has?
Yeah.
Like,
they're crazy. It's crazy that I've given so many artists and so many pros their pro designs.
Yeah.
And I never asked the industry for that. You know, for, you know, to put my name on a shoe and to make that easy kind of like, you know, like shove it out there. You know, and then fast forward, you know, how many decades or years later, and now I have a pro shoe on this like amazing company.
Your own pro shoe.
Congratulations,
it's just
brother.
crazy. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I think it's hard work, man.
It's insane.
Are these going to go into production?
So the shoes drop on April 20th or 22nd in China.
In China.
Yeah, so they're not coming to the States. We will try to get some size runs for a network drop, but like that's all speculation.
Is whenever China opens up, I'm
maybe
sure
I
you're
said
be
too
out
much
there.
but
yeah, right.
I'm just putting it out there in the universe.
When China opens back up, I'm sure you'll be out there. Doing
I hope so.
Things.
I hope so. You know, we're shipping off a large painting to a mall out there that I did that a lot of my peers were involved with as well. There's a mall out there called 1,000 Trees, and like this building lives up to that title. There's like thousands of trees and these all around the facade of this building. Like it's really a marvel. And like the owners or the investors or whoever's behind us are big art lovers, and they, you know, we got tapped. And so like doing that, I'm exploring my abstract paintings more, the liminal space stuff, which are those cream and red and blue kind of paintings that I've been doing that evolved out of the WetPaint project. That I found these abstracts and this minimalist approach in. So I'm growing in that direction as well. So I'm looking for an escape from BunnyKitty in a sense, but always kind of going back to it. So a lot of amazing licensing opportunities. I really want to do some more wet paint shows. I want to do one in California. You know,
and people can contact you to book those shows, right? If someone's interested, how do they contact you for that?
Just hit me up on my email, mr.persue@gmail, or Persue at the, at Instagram. Just DM me. And we'll see if you got what it takes.
His IG. So I think we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Dave, is there anybody you want to shout out?
I want to shout you guys out, man. Thank you for having me, man. Are you kidding?
It's been a pleasure. Come on, man.
It's good to be able to talk about
I was looking forward to this one because I know that, like, a lot of people that I'm close to, Dave and I have some really cool conversation and amazing history just being in the industry for so long.
Similar in a lot of ways because you've done so many amazing things,
Thanks, Dave.
But you get to, like, you're the focus of it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel. But I think that we feel that, like, now we're the man behind the man behind the man. Like on some of these companies that evolved into these huge streetwear companies.
But
I feel that
I always feel like
it's
it's not tribal is in me, man. It's everybody that's contributed and supported, and without people like yourselves and you, Art, and everybody throughout the years, like, we wouldn't be shit if I tried doing this shit by myself. But it's been, it just attracts so many different people, and we've been really fortunate, and
it's
not
amazing
just
that
not just tribal, but
30 years, man.
Yeah.
Dope.
So we've all been around it and done it together. But like I said, like, with this podcast, people will find out who tribal is, and the people around us, and the network that I've been able to build, and the friendships.
And through you, that you'll be able to hear a real side of the story
from the horse's mouth.
From the horse's mouth.
No pun intended.
Yeah. but there's, like I said, it's just, man, dude, like, it's such a amazing blessing to have so much creativity and great people around, and that continues to grow on an international level, and with social media, like, people wanting to contribute and wanting to be down, and what could I do, and
I can relate to that.
And Dave is so humble, and so is Persue, because I shopped with Dave for many years. Right, at his location, North Park, the home store, many years. And the things that I learned today, after having several conversations with you, hanging out, doing music with you, I didn't know any of this stuff.
Oh, really? You didn't know that?
None of that. So you and I spoke yesterday, Art, and you go, I got a question for him.
So I know that you had this Panther shirt. I had the red shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And then you were telling me about your
brand called Home.
Home.
Yeah.
Your brand called Home, and you were telling me your uncle or your dad knew some Panthers or something like that. Tell me.
My uncle had a bar and restaurant in New York City in the late 60s by the name of Home. And that bar was open. He owned that bar from 69 to 79. Then he was diagnosed with cancer and, was losing that battle. But during that time at Home, a lot of people went to that bar. Everyone was welcome. And,
like who? I know there's some famous people.
Bowie, Elton John, John Lennon, Yoko Ono.
Just a couple people.
Yeah. And the Black Panthers. He was a part of. There's a picture of John Lennon wearing the Home Black Panther T-shirt on the album cover. The gatefold of Sometime in New York City is the name of the record. And there's a picture that Bob Gruen took of John Lennon with the Home T-shirt with the fist, with the Black Panther fist. And my uncle was an active member in AIM as well.
That's super dope, man. Where you have John Lennon, of course, you know what I mean? You have Black Panthers there.
Yeah.
And you even had
Hell's Angels would go there.
But the roots, dude, like, that's badass. Like,
very badass.
To have that in your...
And Elton John, and then he says, at this time, everyone was welcome.
Yeah.
Which that period of time is tough.
The story goes is that that Hell's Angels didn't wear their colors into the bar. I don't know if that's real, but I like to believe that it is, and that they would show respect to that space like that. That would be amazing.
that's badass that you have that, that you have that in your roots.
It makes us, it feels great, you know? Yeah, because we didn't get to know our uncle, but he still lives through us, and we pay homage to all that past stuff that we grew up listening to or loving, you know, and knowing that, like, you know, John Lennon when our uncle was here for a Christmas, and Yoko and John sent a postcard to our home, you know, like,
wow.
It's just like, when you're a kid, you don't, oh, it's a Beatle. But like, as you grow up, you're like, yo, it's fucking John Lennon.
Yeah, it's dope.
That's crazy.
You know? Yeah. So it kind of explains why you are who you are in some sense.
That's right.
In some sense, coming from, you know, two New Yorkers being raised in Rancho Bernardo, the suburb, you know, like, they put me on they probably were trying to keep me safe, but I ended up still in the streets.
Yeah. Well, they knew the art was in your lineage and in your blood, and it was, you know, and they knew it.
Big time. Because, my uncle on my mom's side was the director for the Honeymooners.
Wow.
Frank Satinstein.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And
wow.
There was a painter as well, Nicole Satinstein, who's got stuff in the Smithsonian. So like, this is, fortunately for me, was the household I grew up in. So they were encouraging my art.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to suffocate me and tell me to go this direction when they saw me going in a clear direction.
And at no time the family and the support system didn't say, go get a job, leave this art alone. Never tried to separate you.
Well, I got really fortunate because the only job I had was the Subway sandwiches for 5 years, you know, during high school and a year afterwards. And then I went straight into skateboarding. I was really fortunate that whole thing happened with Bob at the food can drive, that the chance meeting of that phone call with Ken Block, and those doors just open wide. And then I put the same energy into the skateboarding that I did into my graffiti, and I wanted to travel and see the world with it, and that's what I tried to do.
My last one.
Get it.
What kind of employee were you like at Subway?
Oh man, I was the best. I was like, yo, I can make a sandwich in like fucking 30 seconds.
And do you think,
with everything?
Do you think, you know, how
you still make good sandwiches?
Bro, I'm a chef. I'm not a chef. Okay, I'm not a chef. I'm a cook.
Okay.
I'm a cook. I cook at home. I got a few dishes. My wife, she loves them. Shout out to my wife for picking me up out of the gutter, showing me that my true self and my talents.
That's beautiful.
So big ups to my wife,
That's
Allie
right.
Ross.
So do you think you know, the way you treated your Subway and doing that job transferred into everything else you did in your career?
Just the ethic?
Yeah.
Ooh. Probably. And I don't know what that focus was. I don't know what that's called. You know, when I was a kid, I had a lot of energy. You know how I'm laid back?
Yeah.
I have this laid back demeanor.
Occasionally you get pumped
and
up.
I get pumped up.
Yeah,
you're pumped up today a few times.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, and this is a story I haven't really told too often, before Ritalin, they were giving kids electric shock therapy.
Oh, shit.
And I had electric shock therapy when I was a kid. And this was something that my mom kept from me forever until she was almost passed away. Probably 5 or 6, because I was always in my brother's face and I wanted my mom's attention. It wasn't enough. You know, and my dad wasn't around, you know, he's a Rolling Stone, and I wasn't getting that attention. And, I had to hear growing up when I was a kid that I was a mistake because my mom had birth control, an IUD in her, and that, you know, and so all this stuff, I was like, well,
that's heavy for a kid.
As a kid, you know, because I felt that I had a lot of answers, and if they just listened to me, I could tell them, like, hey, stop fighting, or hey, you know, like, let's do this, or why wouldn't you do that? But they won't listen to you.
Or is it my
because
fault?
They're their own person. Or is it my fault? Yeah. You know, so I carry all that shit around with me. I got daddy issues. What can I say?
We love you, brother.
I love you.
Yeah,
First of all,
we
love you.
All right, man. So we're gonna wrap this up.
Are you sure you don't want to go on? You can just keep going, baby. You want to talk about international Playboy shit? What's up?
I'm telling you that it happens a lot on this podcast. Like there's guys that we just keep going and going and going
hard,
because
man.
I think it makes this podcast. What makes it special is pretty much all the people that are invited are they're friends of the family, or they're part of the family. They're a part of the clique here. So it's easy for us to keep going and going and going. So
no shit.
But
For real, man.
Go ahead.
For all the youth out there, just man, like just respect the architects. Know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Do your homework.
Yeah,
Knowledge reigns supreme.
And that's kind of where we're at and why we do this too.
That's right.
We're trying to educate some
We're
people.
just the echo of the voice from the ghetto.
Persue. This is Persue.
Persue.
And his IG is at PERSUE1.
Do you know that I used to spell it PRSUE, and I did up to the point where you misspelled my name on that flyer for the food
shit.
bank,
See, I'm such
and you
a
added that E, and it
all
forever
comes down
changed my
to
shit.
feeding the
That
homeless.
was you.
All
Damn.
of this success comes down to your generosity
Oh,
of trying to
stop it.
feed
Not
the
me.
Thanks, Bob.
underprivileged.
Not me.
Thank you, Art.
I
We
guess-
keep going back to the can goods, don't we?
I can make mistakes. That was called
the jump off.
called Spray for Cans.
Yeah,
and that
Skate was there. Rest in
Skate.
peace.
Yeah.
Power
Dope.
was there.
R.I.P.
Yeah, from Can Control.
Yeah, it was
Exciting
if
times,
someone
man.
has one of those posters, hold on to it. I think I got
do
some.
have
so
one.
you go hold on to that. There's
Yeah.
one on the stairwell.
It's
here,
all
but-
signed too.
But see, shit.
Lord
And there's-
Left Podcast, man. All the
that's
flavors right
I
here.
love it, man. Keep it going.
Right
Bob.
on, man. Lower Left Podcast. Once again, 17th and Island, San Diego, Tribal Click. Shout out to DJ Julian Ramirez.
What up?
DJ Artistic and Persue. Love you, brother.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Bob.
All right,
Thank you.
Lower Left Podcast.
San Diego.
That's right. We're out.
BunnyKitty, sign off.
Peace.